Live FM is broadcast in English at 33 kilobytes per second. SPR Live FM is your taste of grace in cyberspace.
The station with the best music. Best music.
I love the music.
Best music.
Let Divine Cupcakes and more cater your next special occasion. We specialize in decadent custom cakes, cupcakes, and cake pops. Every batch baked fresh from scratch and priced to suit your budget. Your cupcakes will be divinely delicious. Contact us at divinecupcakesandmore@gmail.com. That's divinecupcakesandmore@gmail.com. Or find us on Instagram or Facebook at Divine Cupcakes and More.
Did you know that one organ donor can save up to 8 lives? Like a small child who is able to play again because someone donated a heart, or a loving father because he has your liver. Your lungs could give Super Uncle Joe a second chance, and your kidney, it could help Grandma pump iron. You're not just donating your organs, you're giving life. Organ donation. Join the movement and commit today at blood.ca. Canadian Blood Services. It's in you to give.
Thank you for tuning in to Rebuilding the Black Family with Pastor Carl Lewis and myself, Clement Humphrey. Rebuilding the Black Family is dedicated to discussing principles essential to building strong, productive, and successful families. Please join the conversation by liking, following, and sharing us from our Facebook page. And that's facebook.com/Foundation for Life Church and facebook.com/SPR Live FM. Now, let's join Pastor Carl and me, Clement Humphrey. SPR Live FM. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon.
You looking
man.
quite spiffy.
Oh yeah, yeah. My barber did a good job there.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
In fact, I'm so blessed by his job. Next time, I'm going to pay him first. I'm going to tip him first before he even begins.
Okay, so you're tipping him, and then before you cut your hair.
Yeah, I'll tip him.
The last time somebody said to me that they're going to take me to their barber. I said, for what purpose? I says, not unless I get in a lineup or something like that. And they says, no, to get your trim. I said, something's wrong with you, man. Something was wrong. Something was wrong with you. Then you're gonna take me to get a haircut?
They didn't like the way they didn't like the hair, the beard, the style.
No, it's the hair.
Oh, I see.
It's the hair
they
that they're alluding to.
Don't want to change your style, huh?
People try, but so many have tried before. And so many failed.
And they're going to fail again.
Yeah.
Huh? Hey, you know what?
You got yourself a drink there.
Thank you. Congratulations on your son on the nomination.
The nomination,
Congratulations, man. I said that to you already.
Thank you. And thanks to, he has put in quite...
You didn't go out there, right?
No, I didn't. His mom and his brother, who's his manager, and he has another... two managers are out there.
Clanthony or...
That's Claremont, the second.
Claremont second. Okay.
Yeah, Clanthony is his manager, so...
Okay, good.
They went out there and did their thing,
So Cole Anthony is the manager.
Cole Anthony is the manager.
So he's the one making the money and paying
Well, no, I
Clement
think
Jr.?
the artist makes the money, the manager takes the money.
That's better said. That's, what that's it. That's it.
Hey, if they hear me, they'll be like, Dad. What's wrong with you?
I could blame it on you. Okay. But that's a great accomplishment.
Yes, it
because
is.
That would mean, in that particular, I guess, genre and category,
Right.
he was in what, top 5 or 6 or something like
The
that.
top 5, yeah. And the interesting thing is I'm going to be interviewing an apostle tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
and it was quite interesting. His son also was in the same genre. His son is the person that won.
Look at that.
And I'm
No,
saying-
what's his name?
Tory Lane.
Yeah,
I think it
Tory
is.
Lane. I
yeah,
heard about
yeah,
that.
right. So he's the one.
He's been at it for quite a while.
Yeah,
Is
yes,
he,
he's
is
been.
he a Toronto native? Or is he?
Yes, he is. As far as I know, his dad is has been a pastor, an apostle
that's
for
what
quite a
I
number
heard
of
about
years. Yeah, and we worked together before. And somebody was saying to me, all the PKs. I said, hold on a minute, I'm not a pastor. So careful how you say
I'm
the
gonna say
PK.
close enough, man.
Close enough. Close enough.
But wasn't your pastor? Wasn't his son?
His son
there
also was in there.
nominated?
His son was nominated for, I think, what do you call it? Producer of the Year too, as well. And also his artist had won. His artist that
You
he
mean the
produces.
producer? Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Won an
he
award.
won a couple of awards. So they still get
very
some stuff.
good.
Yeah, it's good accomplishments for these
Very
young men,
good.
man.
Very,
You know,
very
they've all.
good.
I remember Matthew when I used to play at the church, and he was coming up playing because he did all the lesson stuff, and so I just the guy who just kept holding down the fort, and then he took over, and I watched him grow.
Now
Just
he's
like I would
produ-
watch.
Now he's producing.
Now he's producing, yeah, and I watched my son Claremont II grow as well as because he's like myself. We learn from looking and watching and observing and
Yeah.
testing it out and trying it out and that kind of stuff. So he did that, and he's doing fairly well. I have to say for himself, because again, all of his stuff, as they said, from writing, recording, editing, producing the videos and the music, all him. And his girlfriend also helps to shoot the videos from time to time with him as he does his own.
Very good.
So they got a good combination of things going on for them right there. So I'm like, hey,
But now you said you're interviewing Tory Lane.
Tory's dad.
Tory's dad. You're
Yeah,
interviewing him.
tomorrow, yeah.
Okay, good for you. Is that in the morning program?
In the morning program, it's going to be on the morning program.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so
Wonderful.
he's a fantastic man of God in terms of he's been in Kenya for about 6 or 7 years, something like that.
In Kenya. Mm-hmm. So that's where where does he live?
He's back in Toronto.
He's back in
Yeah,
Toronto.
He's back in Toronto.
Okay.
So.
But you said he was living.
He was living in Kenya for about 6 years, 6 or 7 years, something to that effect. I think he told me.
Good.
So he's coming back to, Lord calling back here to do the ministry and so forth. The interesting thing is we talking about a black family and bring it into the black family. Some folks have. So how do you feel that your son is not doing gospel as you claim gospel? I said whether or not he's doing gospel or not, my main concern, as any pastor and their children would be concerned, is that they surrender their lives to Christ, and that will be their decision. I can't make that decision for them. Does he know who God is? Absolutely. In terms of his position with God, I think he pretty much knows what I talk about, what I've taught him, and I am totally believing in the Word of God. It says, "Train up a child in the way they should go, for when they're old, they will not depart from it." Regardless of how much, because I've strayed myself. I know a lot of people that strayed off the path, and some of us will say, "Well, I didn't really stray." Well, you could sit right in church and stray, right? And so the point is, I'm not thinking he's straying. He loves music so much. He loves the genre that he does. That he likes to do what he's doing. And I said, you know what? Maybe God can use you in that area, because I don't know. I don't know what God can do. I know my eldest son, he plays with a secular band. He's a drummer as well. And I've seen many of his videos when they're on tour. Before they go and say, "Come on, guys, we got to talk to God first before we go." So he always remembers that he needs to speak to God to help him do what he does. So to me, that's an indication that the seed that we've planted when they were little is still there, and how it's going to germinate and where it's going to go to, that's all up to God.
Very good. Now let's go into this. Takes us into maybe what we're going to speak about today, and I know we've been going in different directions, and that's because it's difficult just to stay in one area when you're dealing with the family, because it's multifaceted.
Correct.
So I think it's good that some of the things you've shared, you've shared the way you've done. Because let's talk a little about, and this is a subject that we we come back to from time and time again. We're going to do a whole lot of it because it's so important. And that is, let's speak briefly today about the importance of fathers.
Oh yeah.
So this is important
great need to understand.
So let's
that.
talk a bit about that.
Yeah.
So the importance of fathers in their children's lives, and so this is important. So whether you're a mother, a father, a male or female, young man, young woman, this is an important topic, an important discussion we need to have. And we can allude to some of the things you've experienced just in, because you talked about those different young people now growing up,
right,
establishing themselves in musical careers, and of course, proving great gifted.
Yes.
But the good thing is this, you notice each one we've mentioned, there's a connection to their father.
Yeah.
So yourself, and you've mentioned time and time again that in spite of, and you've been very transparent with your life personally to me as well as on the air, but in spite of challenges of the past, you've always remained close to your children.
Absolutely.
You've always been in their lives. You've always been investing in their lives, being a strong communicator, a strong example to them, a strong, we could say, an honest person to them. And so I think that's really important. So let's talk a bit about that. The importance of fathers in the lives of children. Now, this isn't just something that we're making up as far as the impact. Because fathers impact their sons and daughters in a tremendous way. And the thing is this, it's the culture we're living in today, we might not be saying it, but it's almost, we can go to extremes in any area. And it's almost, well, you know what, do whatever you want to do in raising your children. Everybody has their own mind, and you know what, there's really no right or wrong way.
Right.
Just do what you want to do, and things will somehow, it'll work out. You know, what you feel is right. Just do whatever you want to do. And I'm saying that maybe in reference to the fact that, well, if someone has a father, it'll be all right. If he doesn't, it's all right too. But I think what we want to emphasize, the sociological studies I've looked at, all the different research I've looked at, and you know, study after study, all of them, whether they're secular run, whether they're government run, whether they're done by businesses, Christians, non-Christians, no matter who they are, news reporters, you know, all of them say that fathers impact children.
Very much so.
They impact their education. In fact, even in the area of education, they impact oftentimes how well a child performs in school. Impacts. I remember the example you gave of your own son, that he was really he was labeled incorrectly, we could say, by the teacher. And we've seen this time and time again. Here he was, an energetic young, and it was just a very, very young child. Was it 4 or 5 at the time?
4, 5, 6, all the way up to about 12.
Now, think about but that 4 or 5, he was going to be diagnosed and put on Ritalin for how many years, we don't know. But think about this now. Just because he was energetic, very active, nothing wrong with that. Really, you could say a typical boy.
Correct.
Right? But yet now, if you didn't intervene as a father, what could have happened to him?
Actually, the performance that he did at the Juno Gala Awards actually spoke about that in his song. He said, you know, and they wanted to medicate me.
Oh, look at that!
And you know, I can't pick it up because he's so fast in that thing. But the young people understand what he said. Instead, you're trying to medicate me, but look at me now.
Yeah. See?
Right. So I thought to myself, wow. And his mom said to me, "You got him saying that on." I said, "Is the truth?"
That's right. See,
it's the truth.
It's truth, of course.
Yeah.
That's great that I'm glad that he mentioned.
Yeah.
That just was on the weekend.
Yeah.
That's good. That's fitting for this program.
Yeah, it's perfectly well.
Now, suppose you didn't intervene. Then he would have been led to believe that he was less than what he could have been.
Absolutely.
We don't know what road he would have been. Okay. So education, it impacts. In fact, one study I read, it affects their children's cognitive scores. Now think of that. It affects, let's say, children's even attendance records at school.
Right.
All of that is impacted by, the absence or presence of fathers. And so this is really, 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 really important. Even, let's say, children either completing or not completing high school. A lot of that is affected. I'm not saying it completely causes someone to or not to, but it does impact it. So again, education is one area. Mental health, we hear that in the news a whole lot now.
Yeah.
So guess one of the factors that affects mental health? The absence or presence of fathers.
Fathers, yeah.
Because remember, fathers go a great way in helping to build self-esteem. It helps to, on the area of education, fathers help children to stay focused on a certain target, on a certain objective, on a certain goal. Mental health, I believe a lot of that it centers around our inner well-being. Well, healthy fathers, good fathers, help to speak to that, help to strengthen that. Where there's the absence of father, it just makes sense that it causes so many questions, potentially, in the mind of a son or daughter. Where is my dad? Why is he not here? But then the other questions we don't often hear what's in their minds. Well, why is he not here? Is there something wrong with me?
A lot of girl children will say that more or less more of the time. Boys get close to their mothers, and then they recognize the pain of their mothers, so they become very protective of their mothers. The girls then ask the question, why is my dad not here? The boys recognize that dad is not there and they wish he was, but they stay very close to their mother because they recognize now at this point, well, I got to hang to my mom. Can't look out for my dad. But while you're talking in that, something else that I have to say included with the fact that absent fathers, there are some fathers that are there, but are not active. I call them, that was my dad. He was in the home. But I call him, he was a father, but a non-committal father. He didn't commit to anything, even down to the fact of having anything positive to say to us, or even saying, you know what, guys, don't do. I remember my sister told me a story that I'm not going to repeat on air right now. That I thought to myself, wow, really? He would have said something like that, or done something like that? And when it comes to me, I remember I was about 14, 15, and I had asked, actually no, I was about 14, 15, more or less 16, 17. I was about to write some exams, and I asked him to help pay for it, and he said, I don't have any money. I'm thinking, you don't have any money? I said, okay. I walked out to his room, said nothing. And then a few minutes later, he called me back, can you go to the corner and buy cigarettes? I said, you just said you have no money. How come you have money to buy cigarettes? And he said, I shouldn't send you guys to school. I said, you didn't send me to school. I wasn't being rude. I said, you didn't send me to school. I passed my exams that helped me to go to school.
I got you.
Right? So I said to him, I don't understand. How can you not pay for my exams and you have money to buy cigarettes? I said, I'm not going to buy the cigarettes because you don't have no money. I don't want to go into my pocket to get money.
Gotcha.
So he sat there and he looked at me for a while. He recognized that I was straight up point. Right? So I left and he come back. He says, how much for your exams? So I told him. So what my mom said to me, I was the only one that got something, but I was always outspoken. I mean, the rest of them would stay back. So I said what I want. I wanted to learn to play the piano, and I asked him to buy me a piano. He says he has no money. I says, we're going back to this again. Right? And then he asked me, okay, where's the piano? I told him where it was and how much it's going to cost to bring it over to me and get it up the stairs and all that kind of stuff. So he went ahead and he did it. And I, in a way, to me, that was his makeup, but it was a little too late because not too long after that, like I said, 4 or 5 years, he was gone. But he was in the home,
Gotcha.
but never participated.
Gotcha.
And there's a lot of fathers out
And
there
we need
today.
to hold on to that because I think that's what I wanted to focus on a bit after, is really focus on what a good father does. Because you made a great distinction in that just because someone is technically married or let's say someone does have a father, know their father, doesn't mean that person is an active, positive influence in their lives. So that's a great point. But so hold on to that. I think that's a great point. So fathers do impact. Studies show us. The absence of a father will oftentimes cause children to smoke, drink, or be on drugs. That's just the way it is. So it's really interesting when all these different studies are showing the same patterns. And so again, it does show the power of fathers, even the labor force, people's, men and women's ability to go on in the labor force, to build stable families and, have stability and good family formations. For example, if a child is brought up in just a single-parent home, or not demeaning a single-parent home, but when they've been so used to friction and strife and fraction, then it's hard for them to create the opposite. So all of these things, we're going back to the father. So fathers are critically important in the building of a child. They build building blocks in a child. They build things in a child. So let's talk a little about, and probably the springboard point from what you was just talking about there, is let's look at just some of the important things that fathers put or deposit that or help to build in their children's lives. And for any man out there, this is really important. And even maybe pass this on, share this with all the ladies, all the men in your life, because again, I know we don't like to hear it, but it's true. As men go, generally speaking, I'm not saying this is the exact rule, but as a rule, there are exceptions. But as men go, so goes the family. That's just the way it is. As the family goes, so goes the community, so goes the society. And so we're looking at men are a critical building block. Again, if all the secular studies prove what the absence of a father does, we do have to hold men to a certain standard. But also it's from a positive sense. Men, you are valuable. You are important. Even if you're, for whatever reason, you're no longer in the life of your partner, your spouse, your ex, whatever, then it's so important to maintain that relationship with your children. They really need you. And to me, I think it shows the quality of a man if a man says this, for whatever reason, I can't live with this woman anymore, or they've separated, they've gone their separate ways, and I would never condemn any of that, because if I don't know the situation, then I just can't make a judgment on it. So different things happen. Things have happened where a wife has left the marriage for whatever reason. A man maybe found a situation intolerable and just could no longer stay in that situation. Same thing, a wife just moving on. Now, it's so important, though, that you don't, the children are already victimized by such a situation, by losing the physical presence of both parents. Or suppose you might have been, a child was born outside of marriage. The thing what we can tell, if you allow those children, let's say, suppose there's no physical danger, that I'm using the man, that the father of your children presents no physical damage or danger to the children. Suppose that's a given. They don't. Then the thing is this, the quality of your heart towards your children can be seen in how, or the access you continue to give your children to their father, or the father to their children. And let me give an example. Let's suppose there's a man, and I'm aware of some situation. Let's say years ago, let's say a man, he's so upset at his wife, he's so angry, so bitter, not so much for what she did, but because of he wouldn't deal with his own issues. So he ends up leaving the relationship.
Right.
But then threatens her and says, well, I'm not going to do anything for the children. I'm going to leave the province. I'm going to leave the country. Now, that means he's so angry that he would cause the children, or he would cause a multiplication of negative effects and impacts on the children, just to satisfy his anger. And then cause those children further undue, untold pain and torture and tribulation because of his decision.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? And so the thing is this, and so I'm going to say this, ladies, I know sometimes it's hard, especially when you feel abandoned, when you feel wronged, but I believe what happened, that stuff is further compounded if you don't allow the Lord to touch your heart, but also be willing to say, you know what? If this man is no danger, he still loves his children, that you've got to make sure you do everything in your power to make sure he still has contact with those children. Why? The fact is he's still their father. Mm-hmm. And the thing is this, if he's a good man, in spite of what's happened with you and him, is that that man speaking into their lives, that man relating to those children can be the difference between success and failure in that young child's life. And so the thing is, you don't want to compound the broken relationship by doing things such as being hateful and mean and saying, well, he did this to me, so I'm going to cut him off. I'm not going to let him see his children. You see what I'm saying? Again, I'm just saying, the condition is a good man. He's not doesn't present a danger to his children. Let me put it that way. But the thing is this: just like how you have a right to those children, we could say equally he has a right to those children. And you know what? Most men, even in spite of a bad situation or a negative situation or negative circumstances that cause the division of children, they still want the best for their children. They still want to impart into their lives. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, more so, the man has more rights to the children than the woman does. And I know I have a lot of...
Why did I know you were going to say that? Can we just leave that alone? Just go on with it. Go on. Why did I have that? I had this kind of inkling when I said something. I was like, you're going to say something. No, let's just say no. I know what you're going to say. But you know what? Equal. I'm going to say equal.
You know, why I say he has more rights to the child more than anything else. And I think if men understand that, they will understand their value as a father, right? I was trying to explain it to my children, my eldest daughter was like, I understand what you're saying, Dad, but I'm not so sure. I'm like, hold on a second. She says, then we won't be here. She says, yes, you will be here. If God ordained you to be here, you will be here regardless. Because that man could lie with any woman and produce children, right? A woman can always lie with a man and have a child, but it's the man's seed that gets it going. So the seed is his, and he rightfully needs. And we talked about it very, very early in our programs back last year, where it's like a garden, and he has to make sure that he takes care of his offsprings, right? So if a man understands that value, and it's not just a fun time or a time of having his jollies, but the thing is, once a child comes into the picture, that's yours, and I think that should be a father's most proudest moment. If he says, I've never done anything right in my life, I've done right by this child, and I'll do everything possible to make sure that this child gets a fair break. There was a professor, I can't remember his name right now. It was floating around the internet a lot, and I've got it like about 5 times, where this guy was talking about the man that he honors the most, the man that taught him the most, the man that he looks up to. His mentor was his dad, who only had a grade 3 education, but his dad made sure that all of them would have a proper education. He talked so much about his dad, I'm thinking, yeah, he had a lot of influence because he recognized his purpose as a dad. Now, not the mom doesn't have equal rights. Of course she has equal rights. I mean, she bore them for 9 months, and then she had to go through all the labor pains and everything. Of course she has equal rights. But the thing is, fathers needs to recognize their position, right? It's like saying, I go out and purchase something to share. Let's say I bought a cake, and I said, I bought the cake, but this cake is now ours, so we partake of it together. It's now both of ours. We have equal rights of it. But the thing is, the first choice was me doing what I have to do. Gotcha. And a lot of men don't see it that way. I remember talking to a young man the other day, and he's talking about, you don't want to pay child support because she has a new man. You don't want, and I said to him, forget the man. Forget the man, forget the money. What about the child?
That's it.
What about the child? She has her mother. I'm like,
Yeah. See, the word I keep hearing when you've talked the last few minutes is this responsibility.
Responsibility.
And that's part of what we want to focus on for the next few minutes here, is the responsibility that we have as men. So there's a responsibility that once you brought this child into the world. So let's focus on that now. Because that impacts so many things. That when I realize now, this child, like you said, my seed that God allowed me to bring into the world through this woman, this child now, we should ask the question, what is our responsibility to our children? That's the question.
Yes.
What's our responsibility? So there's a number of them. Let's just try to break some of that down.
Just I want to clarify something,
Yes.
because I saw a statement just now, and I want to clarify the fact. I'm not saying that the man needs to be dominant over his child and the wife has no part of it. That's not what I'm saying. Just clarifying that for those that are listening.
Did they hear the rest of it before?
I want him to be sure that, so that, because I know you were talking earlier about women need to understand, don't cut the dads out, let them have free thing, but some fathers just don't want to take the responsibility of saying, I want to be a part of, and I'm saying, you got all rights to be a part of, because it's your responsibility more so.
It's a response, and that's the thing we want to emphasize, is that we're looking at the betterment of that child.
Right.
And we talked about at the beginning, what are the impacts of a fatherless home, or we could say better said, the absence of a father in a child's life.
Right.
All the stats prove it results in, let's say, lower educational attainment. Oftentimes leads to children taking drugs, smoking, drinking. Oftentimes higher incidents of them going to jail, imprisonment.
Right.
Negative, let's say, even though there's challenges with the law without any of that, but oftentimes they'll get in trouble with the law in a much higher degree. Right. You got all these things, mental health issues. So all of these things because of one huge key factor, and that is no relationship with a father. And like you said, not just a father who's just a father by name,
right,
but not taking the responsibility. And so let's look at that a little bit. So, men, we're talking about ourselves.
Yeah,
here.
we're talking about that.
There's a responsibility we have to our children, and let's name a few of them, not necessarily in order, but we have a responsibility to love our children, right? That's to love them, to show them affection, to show them our care, to show them that we're always there for them. Man, that's huge.
Yeah.
I'm just saying a few of them. I'm not going to necessarily elaborate on some of them. But the thing is this. We want to make sure that our children, they must know, men, that we love them.
Yes.
That we're there for them. You know, I heard someone say, well, I give them quality time. And if you mention quality time, well, I might see them, like, say, for 10 minutes a month. Well, see, there's no such thing as quality time without quantity time.
Exactly.
Because children because children in their minds, they might not articulate it, but especially when they're young, they evaluate your presence with value. So if you're not there in their lives, what are they thinking?
Right.
Just think about what they might say. That's what we're not making some of the connections to low mental health. And that is, well, what's a child to think, well, my dad's never there. I know he's over there, but he never takes the time to come over and see me. What's wrong with me? Why is he not here? So they equate your absence with a lack of love.
Yeah, as you said that, I remember. I don't remember exactly who told me, because it just came back to my mind. Somebody told me just recently that their dad, he worked on sea. He was gone for like 6, 7, 8 months. But when he came home, she said, we couldn't go anywhere. I said, why is that? Like, I thought it was a negative. She said, no. He said, 8 months I haven't seen you guys. You're not going anywhere. You're staying in my presence. She says, even if he's in the room doing something else, they can't leave the house. He just wants to know that they're there. Right? Because he wants them around him, right?
He's trying to make up for the
times, because he knows he's going to be gone again. And she said sometimes he'll just stand and watch us playing.
Yeah, look at that.
He's just admiring the fact he's just standing and watching them playing, and if they call out to him, he's waving. He has a great smile on his face, because it's this thing he's admiring. These are my children, and sometimes he may get involved, but he just stand back and watch. And I thought to myself, oh, that's interesting. And I thought about it. Yeah, it is.
Now see that daughter or son, what do they interpret as?
Daddy's love.
Daddy's love.
Yeah.
See, so all of that. See, so we have a responsibility to give them love. And that's and give them nurture, give them affection, give them our attention. See, that's what he was doing. Giving them, listen, he's trying to say, you might want to go, but listen, I want you to know you have my 100% attention
Yeah.
while I'm here.
You're not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere. See that?
Yeah, but you talked also about the fact that I want to go back to that,
Yes, sir.
about affection. Fathers giving affection.
Yeah.
You know, it is easy for a father to give a daughter affection and not give the son. Right? And I often think, I've never felt my father's hug. Never. I never even felt a handshake from him. Right? For matter of fact, I think one time he passed and he says, "Hi, son," and that was it. And I purpose within myself, and we talked about this before, that my children are going to not only know that I love them, but they're going to feel my affection.
Exactly.
Now, my eldest boy, no matter where he's at, hey, Dad, he comes to give me a big hug and kiss me on both cheeks sometimes, right? I dropped him off yesterday and he came back from Vancouver, and he's getting into his building. He's going on his back, and somebody saw him and say, "Hey," and he's like, "Hey, hold on a second." Turns around to greet me to tell me to hug me and kiss me. "Thanks, Dad, appreciate you, I love you, Dad, I'll talk to you later."
See
Before he
See that?
finished off his conversation. And I thought to myself, interesting, now all of my children know that.
But I was going to say, to answer this question, where did that begin?
I started that since they were children.
See that? That's what I'm saying.
I never left the house without kissing them bye.
Yeah.
Never said, I call for them if they're somewhere. And, I remember one time, I think it was my son. I'm calling him because I had to go. "Where are you?" "I'm in the bathroom, Dad." I'm like, "Okay, I'm coming to say, but Dad," I'm like, "I'm coming to say goodbye." Open the bathroom, kiss him bye, talk to you later. I'm like, he's looking at me, right? But the thing is, he'll never forget that. It doesn't even matter where you are. I'm coming to find you to tell you bye.
That's it. See, so then we have a responsibility to love, to nurture, to show our affection, to let them, but also in love there's communication.
Right.
Because in listening to you carefully, notice you're communicating, "I love you." See those words? I mean, those are powerful words. Letting your children. So, like you said it, I got to repeat it again. So, not just the girls, but the boys need to hear, "I love you, son."
Yeah.
Just like how you say to the daughters, "I love you." They need to hear those words, because remember, you're their father. We could say you're with your parents. They're the highest authority in their lives, and when they hear you say, "I love you," the validation, the strength. Now, the absence of that is what's caused. I'm not saying it's the only issue for mental health, but I'm telling you that's one of the major causes of this really diminishing of mental health. Is if you've not been told from people who bore you, "I love you," or let's use it in the positive. Someone hearing day after day, I love you. Even when you mess up, "I love you." Sorry.
What do you interpret as "we good"? We good? What do you interpret as that?
Well, I guess we're okay. We're fine.
Right. Now, I didn't understand. I had a friend of mine when we were much younger, and
I heard someone else say that. That's why I know.
yeah.
You're good.
No, I didn't understand what it
Okay.
meant. Because I know we're good from home, and
Gotcha.
come on here, people say we're good. But this father would say to his boy every time he's leaving or going to, "We good, Dad," right? And it burned me. Like, what does that mean, right? Because he would hug the girls and says, "Love you," and kiss them bye, and he's, "We good." He said, "Oh, he's just saying he loves me. He doesn't tell us that. He tells the girls." And I thought to myself, "We good? Don't they want to hear I love you too?" Because we good don't mean we good
Okay,
could
it's not
mean
the same
anything.
thing.
It's not
Yeah,
the same.
I get you.
You see, because I could say to you, "We good," meaning that we are right.
Yeah. In other words, and another way, when I heard someone else made the friend, they meant there's no issues.
Issues, right.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
Everything's okay.
So why
Which is
can't-
a differentiation.
Yeah. So why can't you say, because I love you as opposed to being "we good" could mean many different things.
I got
So when you say to your son, "Love you, son," or sometimes I remember my son was at a distance at one time, and I really didn't want to shout across things, and he was leaving. "Dad," I'm like, means "I love you."
Yeah.
That's what I'm showing him, and he did the same thing back to me. So we understood that.
Gotcha.
It's what you call actions.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
meant the
It's-
same
it's
thing.
action by words and action.
So
Wow.
the thing is, but "we good," I can never understand. "We good"?
That's not good enough for you,
It's like,
right?
No, like it's like no.
So,
I know
so
we good.
there's a responsibility then to show love, to show affection. Like you said, hugging, kissing on the cheek, all of that, this embracing. And oftentimes, previous generations, that was,
Yeah.
again, they didn't really show that. But the fact is this, that was that generation. the men need our love, need our affection, need our communication, they need our affirmation. That's a big one. That fathers, you provide affirmation to boys and girls. I think you alluded to this before. Many times girls seek other relationships too early in life, as little preteens and even as teenagers, when they should be just studying and preparing themselves. Well, they're seeking a man, oftentimes because they've never had the affirmation and affection from their father.
Correct.
So they're seeking that affirmation, they're seeking that attention, that's it, from somewhere else. And that's another word we should say. Children need your attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they need your undivided attention. They need your help. They need your support. If you can help them, with their schoolwork, or even hold them accountable. Show up to the parent-teacher evenings. I'm shocked by the amount of parents that don't take advantage of that or make excuses for it. I mean, do whatever you've got to do. If you can't make it, set a time to go down there and tell and see your parents, your children's teachers.
You're talking about teachers. I heard this woman said once, she wanted to become a teacher because of her dad. I thought, okay, and this probably dad was a teacher. And she says, many of you will be thinking, because she was giving a speech, many of you will be thinking that my dad was a teacher. No, he wasn't. She said my dad couldn't read and write. So while she was growing up as a child, he would sit with her, but he couldn't understand. So she will have to end up teaching him, and he learned how to read and write while she was going to school, and she's teaching him. And she says she had such a joy teaching her dad and her dad learning while she was able, and she felt like, wow, this is an empowerment for her, because when she's writing out the spelling words, no, Dad, this is how you write it, and this is how you do it, and she was like totally elated by that. That's what caused her to want to be a teacher so bad that nothing would stop her, because she says, if I could teach my dad, I could teach anybody else. So that was the thing when she talked about it. I'm thinking, this is interesting that she wanted to become a teacher because she was teaching her dad how to read and write.
That's so precious. I see it
But Dad
on
was
the other
there.
side too, but Dad was there.
He was there all the time.
I just love that.
Yeah.
That is so
Yeah.
beautiful. Now, when you said that, we should say this also. For talk about the responsibility of fathers to their children, boys and girls, is that we have a responsibility as fathers in how we treat the mother of the children.
True. Very true.
For example, so now think about this. You might have left, or wife might have left, whatever happened, you're no longer together. She might have remarried, whatever the situation is. Or you might have remarried. The thing is this, that's still the mother of your children. And so think about this. If all they hear you speak negatively, criticize, condemn, blame their mother, then you're not doing something that's going to build them up and help them. You see what I'm saying? Oftentimes, yes, it's done from a place of hurt in your life, but if that goes on for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, then oftentimes you're going to get the opposite of what you desired.
Right.
Oftentimes, they're going to end up blaming you. They're going to, because they're hearing the hate, if the bitterness coming from your heart towards their mother. So the thing is this, you've got to do everything. If you love your children, one of the responsibilities we have as men is to live in peace with their mother.
Correct.
No matter whether you're together, as a couple, or whether you're separated or whatever, as long as that mother's still in their life, you're still in their life, treat that mother with the highest dignity that you can. Sometimes that's difficult, but for the sake, you're trying to portray a certain image, a certain picture. You're trying to create a certain environment for your children. So think about this. If all they see is strife and argument and division, see, that's the environment you're putting your children in. So think about, you've got to think higher. I'm doing this not just for me, not just for my wife, or my ex, but for my children.
I have to say, I'm going to jump in here. It's been a little transparent again. But for folks, I want you to understand, I wasn't always, quote unquote, the good dad. In the sense that when my ex and I, when we separated and I had the children half the time, she had them half the time and so forth. And at a period of time, I was angry. I agree, I was angry. And I remember saying something about their mom in front of them. And, they just looked at me, they didn't say anything. But what caused me to take note, I think my son repeated something that I said. And I says, no.
See that? Yep.
I said, this is between your mother and I, not between you. He said, but Dad, you said so. I'm like, you know what? I looked at him right straight in his face and I says, I apologize for
There
saying
you
that
go.
to you, because this has nothing to do
There
between
you go.
you, me, and your mom. This is just between your mom and I. And I recognize right there and then, if I do this to I'd say this about her in front of them, it through my anger, it's going to create a problem, right? I eventually shared this with her, and because we used to have this back and forth bickering thing going on for a while, and then she said to me one day, you know what I've recognized? She says, if we good, our children do better.
There you go. See
And
that?
so we made an effort to make sure that we become friends eventually, and we be good to each other and civil to each other, so that our children will be good.
Excellent. Man, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
So I mean, that's true, because I wasn't always the perfect dad. I can tell you that.
But you know what?
I learned along the way, and I had to pick these things quickly because my heart was for my children, and I didn't care what happened to me. They had to be good.
That is so precious. And thank you so much for being humble enough and transparent enough to share
I was
that.
thinking, should I share my yeah, I'm sure
But
they're
no,
going to hear it
it's
sometime, but it's
so
true.
fitting.
It is right.
Because remember, when you said this, that but when you said a certain negative, derogatory thing about their mother, and they repeated it, and you said, well, it's not between, that's between. No, you made it his business the moment you said it.
Yes, exactly.
And then
Exactly.
you authorized him to say the same thing, and if it was negative, to repeat the same thing. Think about this now, about his mother. Now, and vice versa. This we're talking to the men. Now, women are doing the same thing. Then.
Yeah.
When they decry and speak negatively about all the time, so you're creating such a negative environment. Even if some of those things might be true about the individual, the thing is this: it's the environment you're creating for your children. And imagine they're around this hateful stuff that's coming out of both parents. Look at now. Is that going to help them learn, grow,
Mental
be productive?
Mental issues that's coming up.
So
after.
all of that again. So that's why oftentimes as adults who have children, we've got to do whatever it is to fix ourselves, to become whole ourselves, and really admit when we're in a dark place, a negative place, just an unforgiving place. We've got to get that resolved, or else it's going to come out in our children. It's going to hurt them. And so I just want to, encourage you today, if you're a parent. You've got sons and daughters, whether you're married to your spouse and you're working together in unity, or your spouse who you had that child with, you're no longer together, and it's been a challenge. And yes, you've gone through a lot of pain and a lot of heartache. I can't imagine what you've gone through, and I would never claim to know what you're feeling. Claremont would know better than I would in that particular situation. But the thing is this, is knowing to say, you know what, you love your children, and you still have a huge responsibility to your children. Let me say also, some men, because you alluded to this, is being willing to pay for your children's education. That no matter what, you might be in a situation where you're not as financially affluent, but do everything until things change for you. Be committed to the financial well-being of your children. That they can come to you, like you said, went to your children for lessons and different things for their education and for their supplies. In other words, don't leave it on the mother, even if she can afford things. Don't leave it all on her. Let your children see that you're going into your pocket to take care of them, because it's such a top priority.
Yes.
Let them know, because, you can say all you want, but when you're paying for this, when you're paying for that, that's showing an investment, a personal investment, care, even being willing to take them out. So it's not just, the mother taking them here, there, and everywhere, but willing to take them out. See, all of that is spending quality time. I think I told you that my girls, they feel that one of them said, Dad, I think I know why we like the mall so much. It's because you used to take us out every week to the mall. And one main mall with us. I took them sometimes several times a week. And so, doing different things, and making bears and all these kind of stuff. But anyway, why? It's showing when you take them out, you're also showing your children you like being with them. See that? So again, you're not just saying I love them from a distance, but it's what are you doing with your children? How are you taking care of them? How are you honoring them on their birthdays, on different situations, Christmas, and also not just Christmas, but are you there for special occasions in their lives? Again, meeting their teacher. How are they doing? Find out how they're doing. I don't just look at their report cards. I look at some of the other things they say, some of the social things. What's their interaction?
Right.
How are they doing? How are they in the class? Are they participating? How are they with other students? And all that. I want to know all these kind of things. And also let your children know you have their back. That you will go down there. That if there's no such thing as them being bullied, and you're not. None of that. You're going to be down there in someone's face. Someone's going to face something. Somebody's going to face some wrath. If they go and come near, even if they threaten my child, somebody is going to face something, some woe.
I remember going into the school one time for my young son, because they had this other little child who was constantly messing with Claremont, and if Claremont do anything, they will send a note home, and he keeps talking about this child. So I went to the school. I says, listen, man, we don't want World War III in the school. The fact is that you're telling me, sending me note what Claremont did, Claremont did, Claremont did,
but not the other child.
Not the other child. I says, come on. Until finally, they had some altercation. The child slammed Claremont's head into the wall, and he got a little nick. I was down to school the next day. And I said to the principal, you can do something about this, or I will.
Yeah, good.
And he said to me, Mr. Humphrey, you have to care for. I said, there's no threat. That's a promise. You do something about it, or I will. I said, because this child is constantly he's this and he's that. I said, you were not sending me those notes home when my son would talk or did something. You always send me, he needs to be this and he needs to be that. That says, no, you can do something about this. I don't remember exactly what they did. I think they suspended the child or something like that. But I let them know that I'm not leaving my son just because I'm in there.
Yeah. See, you were showing that your child wasn't there alone.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee you the way the school system works, a lot of it is that they're looking at the children. Think about this now, who have parental support.
Right. And the thing is, though, as you talked about how important a father is, there was this, I think it was my eldest son, while he was in school, they had a single mother that used to go with her child and always have problems and so forth. It was a black woman, so it was easy for me to pull this off, right? And, the way how the teachers would talk to her about her child. And the father wasn't around. But when I go talk about my children, it was all okay. And she says, I never get satisfaction. I says, can you permit me to be their uncle? And she says, what do you mean? Permit me to be the uncle. She says, okay. I says, because I'm going to go talk as an uncle to them. And I recognize then, when a female alone goes to the school, especially if it's not a strong female, they tend to take advantage. So I stepped in as I said, hey, my niece. Oh, it's your niece? I said, I understand, because I didn't respond to that question. I understand so is going on. Well, I says, can we fix this? I said, well, Claremont, I'm not Clarendine, Calantony. Can we fix this? Oh, yeah. And it says, I'm going to call her mom, and we're going to come and sit down and talk to you about what's going on. She thanks me, because I didn't know what I just went initial stage and then let them. She said, thank you so much. She says, you know what? It's always good to have a man around, because then they respect men more. I said, you just need to be stronger. That's all. I said, because some of those black women whose head go like this. I said, you need to go and shake your head like that a couple of times, and everybody will be fine. She started laughing. She said, I said, it's true, because she was a quiet individual, right? And she I don't even know where they're at today.
They didn't take her seriously, again.
They bring, you're single mother, you're probably this, you're probably that. And she was a hard-working woman, right? And I know she's tired, and she's trying to figure out the situations, how to deal with her child. And I remember going in with her and I said, permit me to be the uncle, and straighten it out, because I was upset, because I'm thinking, and then in the back of my head was thinking, here's this black woman, these white teachers are taking advantage of the situation. I'm like, I'm not going to have that.
And so they're not relating correctly. Oftentimes it's cultural and they're not related correctly.
Correct.
But it's something you said that we got to say this. So one of our responsibilities, men, fathers, is don't leave your wife alone to do everything. Let's not do that. We've got to step up to the plate. Our children need you. Your children's mother needs you. need your assistance in whatever way you can. In other words, you got to let the past be the past. Whatever happened between you, it happened. The thing is this now, Claremont alluded to this, it's those children now. We want to make sure, do everything we can to create the right environment. Let them see a positive interaction between you and your ex or your spouse. Let them see that. Even if there's disagreement, don't communicate those disagreements in front of them.
Right.
Even as a husband and with my wife, we don't do that. We have disagreements. Anyone, you're going to have disagreements. Two different people are going to have disagreements. You're not going to agree on everything. The thing is this, so you've got to come to a place of agreement, yes, to move forward. But the thing is this, when we have disagreements, we don't air those disagreements out in front of the children, even at their age right now. We don't do that. We do that behind the scenes. We do that behind closed doors. Why? Because we want to always, in front of them, we want to always present a united front. A united front. We'll
So
clear
that's
things
so
up.
important, man.
You know, because why? We want them to have good thoughts. We want them to be healthy, and also you want your children to have a sense of security.
Yes.
So how? You don't want your children to feel they're going to lose one of you, and that's what's happening sometimes, and that really messes with children's minds if they're feeling threatened on the inside. Well, mom isn't speaking so well about dad. Dad isn't speaking so well about mom. So what do you think that's creating?
Yeah.
I don't. Dad's not going to be in my life, or mom's not going to be in my life. And so again, whether those children are in your home together and everything's moving forward, build on that. If your ex is a situation and they're still in their lives, encourage that. Encourage that relationship. Don't get in the way of that. Foster a positive, healthy communication. Help your children. Pay for your children. Help to plan their future. Be there for them. Let them know your unconditional love, that you're with them all the time, that you'll be there for them. They've got to see that.
Right.
Hold them accountable so that they'll be productive, healthy, successful young people. Again, and also express faith in them. I might have said it already, but let them know you believe in them.
Yes,
let them know,
absolutely.
and talk to them about their visions. Speak to them about their dreams. Identify their giftings. Every child has gifts and abilities, and so work with them. Look at their track record. Look at what they've been excelling in. Every child, even from young, they're showing certain patterns, certain desires, certain inclinations. Let them know that you see that. Also, let them know what they do well. Really let them know. You know what? You do really well. Man, that drawing was really good. I still have pictures. I still have cards. Drawings from years ago. From the 4 or 5 birthday cards. I still have them. So let them know that. And you've said this before, and you say it so well. Hug them a lot. Be in their room. Hug them, kiss them. Let them know you really value them. All of this stuff. It really helps them to be on the top. They've got the right foundation to succeed in life, because when you do that, you're building up such self-esteem on the inside of them, because the world is a negative world.
Exactly.
And it's a wicked, it's a cruel world. But the thing is this, when they know going out there, my mom and my dad love me, they care about me, and they're providing for me, they're helping me, they believe in me. I tell you, they've got strength to resist different things that would come against their lives. And so, man, this has been a good day today. Thanks for tuning in. And you have anything else to say?
Well, what I was going to say, you're talking about let them know how well they're doing. As grown as my son is, my 20 going 21-year-old, who was a Juno Award, had to perform and all this kind of stuff, and I'm all excited, a big smile on my face. I'm watching it on TV, like, wow, look, he's performing. And then when he finished, he said, "Oh, Dad, I didn't do that good." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "From where I'm sitting on what I'm listening to, you did fantastic." "No, this, that, and that." And then I realized, he felt that he didn't do that great until he watched it back himself. And I said, "Well, I didn't do." "No, you did fantastic, dude. Come on, what are you looking for, you might have known what you practiced and the little slips here and there, but you did fantastic." And I think it doesn't matter what age they're at, you still continue to tell them how great they're doing.
That affirmation.
Yeah, everybody needs it. Yeah, as somebody just said, we all need affirmation, and that's pretty much how it is. So that's my closing thought, and thank you guys so much for looking. Hey, I want to say one thing before we go.
Yes, sir.
For those that are listening, if you don't know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, know Him now. That's an important thing these days. I find a lot of people are drifting from God, and some people just don't know who Christ is, and they need to know that. So I just thought I'd say that.
And all you need to do, is receive him. Say, Jesus, I receive you as the Lord of my life. I receive what you did for me on the cross. He bore your sins so you could have a right relationship with God and be forgiven and really start a new life with God as your Father.
Amen.
All right. So
Amen.
until next time, this is Rebuilding the Black Family with Claremont Humphrey and Pastor Carl Lewis. Until then,
God bless you.
God bless you.
Carl Lewis and myself, Claremont Humphrey. We trust you found this program helpful. Please give us your feedback on our Facebook page, Foundation for Life Church. Also, visit us at foundationforlife.ca, where you will find some free life-building resources. Join us next time for another edition of Rebuilding the Black Family. Until then, build your life and family on the sure foundation of Jesus Christ.